My name is Fred Oakman, and as always with me today is Mr. Jake Peters. We are PS This Is Awesome, a PlayStation podcast, and this is episode 249. This is a show where we share our feelings about the current state of PlayStation. So, before we get on with the show, I have to invite you all to subscribe to our channel on YouTube, youtube.com/PS This Is Awesome, and go visit us on Twitter at PS This Is Awesome. If you want to make fun of our trophy list on the PlayStation Network, you can find me at Anchorless_81 and Mr. Jake Peters at JakeSaw01. And as always, you can write our show. You can hit us up on psthisisawesome@gmail.com. And most importantly, don't forget to share the show with your friends. If you have any gaming friends out there, any relatives, get close to the holiday season, Thanksgiving's up around the bend, say, hey, have you heard about this awesome podcast? You should check it out. Tell your friends. Anyways, you can leave comments, rate our podcast as you see fit. Help us out a little bit, throw us a bone. And as a reminder, this is a video podcast as well. You can go ahead and watch our show if you want, instead of just listening to us yipper-yapper about PlayStation for the next hour. You can watch us do it on YouTube. So, and if you are a new and or long-time listener, you may know, but if you don't know, you're going to know. We have a Patreon. You can support our show for $1 a month. It's a $1 level. It's called the One and Only $1 Club. Head over to patreon.com/PS This Is Awesome, and you can become a $1 patron of this podcast, and we'll send you a free die-cut vinyl sticker in the mail. And we'll also give you a shout-out on our show for $1 a month. So if you like it, please, please, please head over there and throw us a bone. With that out of the way, Jake, how are you doing?
So when you said something along the lines of, if you don't know, all I could think of immediately popped into my head was that song Juicy by Notorious B.I.G., where he has that line, and if you don't know, now you know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. I know the line. It's a great song.
It is a great song.
Everything good?
But other than that, I'm doing pretty good. I'm really beat up, but other than that, I'm doing fine. I played hockey 2 nights in a row, and then I spent all day today. We have our dining room. There's a portion of it that extends past the foundation of the house, and there's a crawl space under it.
Yeah.
That was not insulated very well. So I've been in a crawl space putting insulation in there, and it's like you have like literally 2 feet of headroom. So like the whole time, you're like laying on your back and like you're like wiggling around and like on your elbows and stuff. So like my shoulders and everything are all real tight. But it's a good time. I like doing stuff like that though. That even though it's hard work, like it's not. Even though it's a lot of work, it's not hard to do because it feel like you do it and you feel accomplished.
Yeah.
Nothing bothers me more than doing housework where it's like it doesn't go the way you hope that it will, and then you're done with it and you're like not satisfied. And you're afraid that you cut a corner or you did something
you just
wrong
don't know, right? Yeah.
So, and even with this, like, I really don't know because there's like 1,000,001 different philosophies about how to insulate a crawl space.
Because nobody knows. If there was a best way, it would be the only way.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that it's different depending on what climate you're in and all of that. So, I don't know. I'm just trying to insulate my house better because, everything, including utilities, is getting super expensive.
Yeah.
And I'm really not looking forward to paying my heating bill this winter. So I'm trying to warm things up in the old casa, if you know what I mean.
It's a good idea, man. Yeah, things are good with me. I had yesterday off. We're recording this on Saturday. Saturday the 12th, I believe. And I had yesterday off due to the holiday. And I found myself in a situation recently, and like you, I tried to not cut a corner, but just save a little cash, right? Because everybody's trying to do that nowadays. So my car, I just spent, which is still relatively cheap, like $600 some for new tires, right? I've only had the new tires on for about, 2 weeks. But I went to start my car about 2 weeks ago, and I cranked the key, and you could hear the car just work, like, and it wouldn't start, and then you try it again. I'm like, that's the fucking starter. It's going.
Mm-hmm.
So wanted to get it replaced before winter hit because I don't want to be messing around in a car that won't start in the freezing cold and then just freeze my ass off somewhere. So what I did was I bought myself a starter. I've put them in before. Our tour van was a 2000, I don't know what year it was, but it was a big Chevy Express fucking 15 passenger van, and I put a starter in that. All I did was drive over a ditch and crawl down in the ditch and just, did it that way, and it was fine. It worked. Little backyard mechanic trick for everybody there. If you don't have a jack that can jack a half-ton vehicle or quarter-ton vehicle, just drive over a ditch and make sure it's not going to slide on you, and just go lay in the ditch. That's what I did. It worked. So I figured, well, I can do this on my little Toyota Yaris. It's like an eighth of that vehicle, and it shouldn't be that hard. So I get the starter, it comes in the mail, and I don't even care about a core charge at this point. Like I just want the piece, I want it done. So my parents have a garage that's got a little more space, and it was rainy. So I said, hey, I'm gonna bring my car over. I'm gonna put the starter in. So I go over there, and my father proceeds to tell me that his jack is no good anymore. So I'm like, are you kidding me? So how many? I don't have a car jack. Why would I have a car jack? I don't, except for the one.
Are you serious, Fred? You're a fucking adult.
Well, except for the one that comes with your car to change a spare or a flat. That ain't gonna work for this. I'm not a mechanic, but I know how to do things. So, anyways, he said, so he doesn't have one either. So he's just as at fault as I am at this point. So, anyways, we buy a jack. We run out. We go halvesies on a jack, and we just figure if any of us need it, we'll just share it. So, not a problem. I get the car jacked up, get it on jack stands, and I take the cowling off, and I'm laying underneath it, and I don't know if... man, that Yaris sits so low to the ground. And so I'm down underneath it, and those Toyotas are not easy to get to. So I got to pull the starter off, and I have just I just have the socket wrench, right? And typically, that's all you really need. I don't have pneumatic tools or anything. So I'm fucking pulling on this thing. And I swear, I'm either my hand is going to come off, like it's going to slip and I'm going to hit something sharp and sever my wrist, or I'm going to strip the thing. So I'm cranking for like 25 minutes, and I can't get the first bolt off. And I'm like, this is fucking ridiculous. This is so annoying. And again, where I'm laying and how I'm positioned, I can't attach like a pipe to it or anything to get leverage because it's down far enough on the ground that like I don't really have a whole lot of wiggle room, right? So, and I'm not the strongest dude in the world. So then I'm like, hey, you try it, because he's giving me shit because I can't get the nut loose. And then so he gets down and he tries. He can't fucking get it loose. So in the meantime, I'm just like, this is ridiculous. I'm done. I'm gonna just call someone because like I'm just annoyed now. So I've got this starter, and I'm like, no one's going to use my starter and replace it in my car because I don't know any mechanics in the area. But my uncle is a fantastic mechanic. He and his son, and they've been doing auto work their whole lives. And this is like literally a 20-minute job for them tops. And he just opened a garage in Clearfield, Pennsylvania, where they do inspections and all kind of shit. And I'm like, so I call him up. I'm like, hey, can I bring the car up, right? And he's like, yeah, just call the shop. Just let them know when you want to bring it in. It's fine. I said, okay, are you guys open on Veterans Day? Because I got the day off. He's like, no, yeah, we are. So just bring it up. What time do you open? 9. Okay, so it's a 2.5-hour drive for me. So I get up at 6 in the morning on Friday, and I drive my car up there, starter in the back seat. I roll in. My cousin's there already. They fucking put it on a lift. And on the way there, my ABS light comes on for some reason. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And I'm like kind of skidding a little bit, and I just put new tires on. So I'm skidding when I shouldn't be. Like they're initiating when they shouldn't. And I'm like, what's going on now? So anyways, he put it on the lift. We both crawl underneath it. My car maybe, just based on my own assessment, maybe has 2 years left due to all the fucking rust underneath it. But anyways, we get the starter off, no problem. We have all the fucking leverage we need. Get the new one on. I go back and I start looking at the tires, and my rear tire is pretty much fucking flat. This brand new tire I just bought. And I'm like, what is going on? So he comes around, we're looking at it, and I'm like, look at the fucking air bubble around the valve stem. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, do I have a bad valve stem? And he's like, well, it looks like you might. So they order a valve stem for me, and this is going somewhere. Anyways, valve stem comes in. They got one that's supposed to because if you have tire pressure sensors, they come with sensors built in, right? Some do and some don't. And some need programmed, and some are supposed to auto-program. So we get an auto-program valve stem. Put it in, and he told me wherever I got my tires done, they didn't even fucking seal the tire on the new wheel when they put it on. And I'm like, this is some bullshit. So, like, I'm, like, really irritated at this point. My uncle comes up to me. He goes, hey, I just bought a car in an auction. I'm going to try to resell on the lot after I do some minor work to it. Can you come with me and go pick it up? I'm like, sure. I just drove 2.5 hours. I'll go drive. Where are we going? He goes, Lock Haven. I'm like, you realize that's like an hour and 15 minutes from Clearfield? And he's like, yeah. He goes, it'll be fun. Come on. I'm like, all right, you fucking asshole. So I go. They're doing me a solid. So I go. So another 2.5 hours later, I'm back from that trip. So I have like, I don't know, give or take 6 hours of driving under my belt at this point. And car is done. Charged me only for the part of the valve stem, and life is good. They had to fucking fix the problem is the sensor on the thing did not recalibrate automatically like it was supposed to, so my tire pressure light's still fucking on. The ABS light at least came off. I'm just so goddamn annoyed, and it's just like so many. So I drove, I think, a cumulative like 7 some hours on Friday, and I don't know, to fucking put a starter in my car because I couldn't get the fucking bolt off it. Long story short, it's probably good, though, because I got the tire fixed for free. I would have just taken it back to fucking Flynn's. But, God, I was so annoyed yesterday.
I was going to say, I would have just I would have called Flynn's and
chewed him out.
Granted, I guess you can't talk to him until Monday anyway, but...
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Sounds like they fucked it up.
Yeah, for sure. They did something wrong. But, dude, you ever just, like... get really irritated about a situation, but on the flip side, you're very like thankful that you had the resources to navigate it, but you're still pissed off about the thing. Like that was my situation. So I was like upset, but I knew like I really had no reason to be upset. Family took care of me. It was just like a little chunk out of my day, 7 hours out of my day.
Yeah.
8 hours, 9 hours, whatever. But it's solved. Anyways, dude,
still cheaper than a new car.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know, man. So that was that. And then one of my land, my band, where I just told you before we started recording, Troy brought over this really nice Shure mic that he just bought. And I'm going to start tracking vocals for that record. So it's going to be a blast. So that aside, life has been good, man. How about we talk about PlayStation, though? Do you want to do that?
Sure.
All right. So we had one feedback real quick. So we had some minor listener feedback. And Played by Ken strikes again. He writes in... and he says, in a response to my suggestion on the last episode 248, I said maybe we should try to do something at the end of the year for our patrons who subscribe this year, because our patron's only about a year old. And maybe we can get together and do like a game that doesn't like require like much thought and just kind of dick around for a bit. Hot Wheels Unleashed was my suggestion. And then he said... doing some Hot Wheels Unleashed sounds like a fun idea. I'd be up for that if it happens at some point. I wasn't much of a fan of the handling for the cars in that game, but it is a good bit of fun. Great episode again. So thanks for writing in, Played by Ken. I agree the handling wasn't fantastic, but it's kind of what you expect with a game like that, I think. Loosey-goosey. I think they really drive home like the, what's that called? Drifting. That's all.
Yeah.
Any opinion on that, Jake? You think that still sounds like a reasonable thing we can maybe try to orchestrate? No promises, but see.
If there's interest.
If there's interest, we'll do it. So
yeah, I mean, I think Hot Wheels is fun, especially if we can do it like on an evening, like on a weekend or something like that, where we can kick back, have a couple drinks, maybe, rip a few rounds of Hot Wheels. That'd be kind of cool.
It would be kind of fun, and I think what we could do too is maybe just keep it patron exclusives. Right? Like do like a play with the patrons, and then even if it's just Played by Ken gaming with us, that would be fun for, a little bit. He's been an avid supporter of the show. Although I don't know, is he? He is a patron. He is. Yeah. He definitely is. I gave him 2 stickers because I was late on sending him stickers. So yeah. So we'll do that. Maybe we'll post something on Patreon with more details whenever we get closer to that. So let's discuss real quick, because I don't think we really made the decision yet, and we're already well into November. And it's a busy month for games to begin with. But what I wanted to do, Jake, was clarify what our PlayStation Plus Game of the Month actually is going to be. And I think that we decided we were going to do the Lego Harry Potter collection. Was that correct?
I thought so. I'm trying to remember what the other two games were, but yeah, I mean, that sounds right.
Okay, so for the listener's sake, just to make it official, this is the game we're going to talk about at the end of the month. We've had a lot of conversations and shit, and we've got a little special bit of a bit on the show here coming up. But so every month we pick one of the free PlayStation Essential games that are released in that month. Jake and I give them a whirl, and then we discuss it on the last episode of that month. So that game this month for November is the Lego Harry Potter collection. So you too can download that game if you're a Plus member and play it a bit, and then join in and share your opinions with us. And we will have that discussion at the end of the show. Now, Jake, we haven't had a show topic in a while, and I pulled this one out of my ass. But I thought it would be a fun one. PSN Profiles has updated profiles for us. And if no one's been there, it's just psnprofiles.com, and you can essentially put in anybody's, I don't know, whatever, right? Anybody's user handle or whatever. And it's
awesome website, by the way.
It is an awesome website.
If you're a PlayStation fan, it's an awesome website.
And then you can look at that user's PlayStation trophies, and you can sort them from rarity, because PlayStation Profiles knows how many people own that trophy of the people who I believe have the game. So I thought it would be really, really fun for you and I, Jake, to just quickly review what they consider ultra rare trophies. And I believe the requirement for this must be under 5% of people have them, I would think.
The thing that's confusing about a lot of this is that sometimes it's like there's like it's not always accurate is not the right word, because it's accurate, but there's like constraints on the percentages. Sometimes it's based on how many people own the game, and how, like, here I think it's based on like achievers versus owners, right? But I think that like on the PSN it works differently. So dude, it's really, because PSN now has that. If you're on your PlayStation, they now have that rarity thing whenever you look at your trophies. And I think it's calculated differently. I don't really understand what the difference is, but
I like the way they do it here.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think that it's weird because, like, owners, like, what constitutes ownership within PSN Profiles? Do you have to have started the game, or is it just you purchased it?
I don't know how they would know if somebody only purchased it, right? How would you know that just from somebody's PlayStation profile?
Yeah, I don't know. I would have to think that you would have to have popped at least one trophy, but I guess I don't know that, right? Mm-hmm. So, but either way, I mean, it's cool. Like, this is really, really neat. Just keep in mind that if you are looking at your PSN profile, like your PlayStation, if you're looking at your PlayStation, your trophies, you may find that the percentage is different than what you see on PSN Profiles. And I haven't done any research. I'm sure you could figure it out in like 2 seconds if you Googled it. But there is a difference in the way that it's calculated.
I pulled yours and I pulled mine, and we're just gonna go over real quick what the trophies that we popped that they consider to be. Yours were fucking hilarious. I have one that's definitely a cheat one. My third one is definitely a cheat one because that was a free game for everyone who had VR. So I doubt many people actually fucking played it. But anyways, I'll start with the least rare of my ultra rare is for the hell game is that? It's Squadrons. Yeah, Star Wars Squadrons. And it's Together Vanguard. I destroyed the cruiser at Cavus without any backup. And 85,616 people own the game. Only 3,500 people have achieved that trophy. So it's 4.09% ultra rare. And it's my most common ultra rare trophy. Jake, let's do one of yours. Once you start at the bottom one, which I love that this game fucking comes up on your ultra rare trophies.
So, my the least of my ultra rare trophies is P.S. This is awesome staple Warhammer 40K Space Marine, and the trophy is Librarian of Macragge.
Yeah, I don't
it's
know how to say
Macragge.
Mm-hmm.
And there were these collectibles in that game called servo skulls, and I collected all of them. Which, to me, this seems like this is like one of those trophies where I can't believe it's ultra rare. But maybe people just didn't spend that much.
I wonder
time
how
with
many
it.
servo scars there were.
That's a good question. I don't know.
But you got them all, and you popped this trophy in July of 2012. So,
true.
10 years ago.
More than 10 years ago. Yeah.
That's awesome. That is cool. So, all right. So my next, I have 6 that made the list. Jake had 4. So I'll just go through my next 2 just to kind of bring us up to speed real quick. My next one after that one is I was really big into Pinball Arcade, and a lot of mine are involved in that game. 7,676 owners, 1,304 achievers, with 3.98% people popping this bronze trophy, or maybe it's a gold trophy. Looks like a gold trophy. It is Black Hole Master, which I completed the standard goals on the pinball machine Black Hole. It was really fucking hard. I'll just let you know that. All these pinball games were really... I fucking mastered a lot of these pinball games when I was playing them, like all the little fucking tricks. And then the next one...
Okay, yep.
Jake fucking hates pinball. The next one...
No. I was looking at the owners versus achievers, and I was like, why are those numbers different? And I just noticed that it's
a different machine.
2 of those are DLC.
Yeah.
And it says that it's for the DLC specifically.
Yeah, this next one was my pride and joy. And May 29th, 2013, there's a pinball DLC that had Monster Bash arcade game, and then the Gorgar fucking arcade game. And Gorgar is the fucking coolest pinball machine ever. And I am the Gorgar wizard. There's only 240 achievers of this in the world. But there's only 1,850 owners, which means there's probably really tough to pop any trophies on that DLC. So there's probably a few more owners in that. So it's probably even more rare than I'm giving myself credit for. But it's 3.13%. And for a short amount of time in 2013, I was on the world best Gorgar score, top 5 or something, top 13. I don't know what it was. I was on the master list. It was amazing. So that is my next trophy. Jake, give me one of yours here. Your next one, moving down the list. Oh. So
my next one, and it is the only platinum trophy on either of our lists, just so the listeners know.
This is true.
Is It Can't Be For Nothing, which is the platinum trophy for The Last of Us on PS3. And this was like one of those games that when it came out, I could not get enough of it.
Yeah.
It was so fucking good. It was so different and so good and so impactful that I had it. And the reason why this is so impressive, I don't want to say impressive in terms of like, gaming feats generally. I just mean for me personally is that if anybody knows me and my gaming habits at all, they know that I fucking hate playing multiplayer games. It's not for me. For me, gaming has always been kind of like a zen escapist experience, not a social experience. So I don't really play a lot of multiplayer games, and a game's multiplayer has to be truly incredible for me to even be willing to try it, let alone play it for 40 hours. And the survival, what was it called? Was it called the Survivor mode?
It's Factions.
I can't remember. Yeah, well, it was Faction. Was Factions the name of the particular mode?
I don't remember.
Because there was like I think it was Faction. I think Factions was like the name of the multiplayer, but there was a specific mode that wasn't like deathmatch or whatever. It was like the mode where you have to like craft shit while you're playing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
and there's like this meta game about how you have to get your whether you're fireflies or you're the the militia, whatever the hell they're called. You have to get them like resources and stuff, and if you don't do specific tasks during the matches, like your meta players, like your not your teammates, but like your people in the metaverse will like die and stuff. And if you don't do it enough, like you have like progress. It's almost like a little mini
it's really hard.
This multiplayer. You can die. Like when I say die, I mean you can not complete it. You can
lose the mini game.
Scratch.
Yeah.
So to get the platinum for The Last of Us, you had to do both the fireflies and I can't remember. I'm drawing a blank on the name of like the military branch side, but it's like literally, I'm not even lying, to complete them, it's like 20 hours each. So not only did I have to beat The Last of Us like 3 times to get the platinum trophy for all the single player stuff, but for the multiplayer, I had to play like 40 hours of multiplayer to be able to get the trophies required for the platinum in this. And that just goes out to show you like how good the fucking multiplayer was. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because you can't play it now anywhere, right?
I think you still can on the PS4, like in the PS3. I don't think they shut the servers down.
Not on the definitive edition, though.
Not on part 1.
Not the newest
new
one.
remake or whatever. They don't have it on there.
Okay.
But so like it's the one thing that has me kind of intrigued about the new Factions game from Naughty Dog, because if I really liked that mode in the first Last of Us as much as I did, am I gonna spend that much time on a multiplayer game again? I don't know, maybe not. But I've played a shitload of Destiny, and that's a multiplayer game. I just play it by myself.
Depends on how it's done, right?
So it really depends on how they're doing it. But anyway, yeah, I really, really, it's one of these trophies that I'm proud of. Was The Last of Us Platinum. And like, because one of the trophies specifically was beating the game on the survival difficulty, which is really hard, but also, in my opinion, possibly the definitive way to play the game, because it immerses you that much more when you don't have like the super power hearing and all that kind of shit. So yeah, anyway, sorry to ramble on a little bit, but I'm stoked about that trophy.
It's a really good trophy. The one that I got that I feel is kind of a cheap shot, it doesn't really count, is it's a VR trophy. It's just you have to complete all of the shooting gallery challenges in VR worlds. And it wasn't hard. It wasn't like exceptionally hard. I didn't think so. Maybe just a really good shot in VR. But like 122,000 owners, 3,568 achievers. This is a silver trophy. And I got this on November 4th, 2017, apparently. And yeah, I don't really pat myself on the back for that one, but it isn't a surprise that that's an ultra rare trophy, because I mean it took a little bit of effort, and VR Worlds was like a free thing that came with the VR headset, but most people didn't fucking really dick around much of it. I did, because I found it fun. Jake?
So my next most rare trophy is from a game that nobody played, or I feel like nobody played it, but there's
500,000 people,
250,000 owners,
or quarter
of a million people on PSN profiles that quote unquote own this game, and that is for Little Big Planet karting, which was, if any younger listeners that weren't necessarily engaged in the PS3 generation, they made a karting game in the Little Big Planet universe, and it was actually pretty fun. But like nobody played it, nobody cared about it. It was just kind of dead in the water. And so I got the trophy called Get Gathering, which is a trophy where you have to have 4 people. You invite 4 people to a party to do a 4-person multiplayer karting match. So not like randos online, you have to invite people to do this match. And I only have this trophy because one time my brother and I decided, like, oh, let's do it. And like our, neither of us were married at the time. I don't think this is 2013. Yeah. Neither of us were married at the time. So it was like, me and my brother and our now wives, we got in and we did this, like, we just did a match of this Little Big Planet karting, and we ended up getting this trophy. I didn't even know. I didn't do it for the purpose of getting this trophy.
It just
we
popped,
just thought
and
it would
now
be
it's
fun. And I was just like, oh, well, I guess, I got this now.
We've got more cred now, man. Yeah, who would have thought we'd be talking about it today? So weird. All right, moving forward into the next one on my list is Tempest Neminem Mene. And I was promoted to Master Sergeant in Cena Mora X on May 27th, 2018. This game was kind of cool. I enjoyed it. I played through it. I beat it. And these are some games maybe. This is also a cool reason to do this because these are games that we've obviously played but we don't really give any love to on the show. Just an interesting way to show and not even really flex, but just like neat that you can find this stuff and track it. I didn't remember even playing this game until I saw the trophy here. 292 people have this trophy in the world. I'm one of them. So it's ultra rare. It's a gold trophy. That's strangely enough, percentage-wise, though, it is not my rarest trophy.
Nice.
Yeah. Jake, what's your... I don't know what this one's called. There's like a thing there when I did the screenshot. It's something hero.
So the reason I know this is because it's so funny to me that I have this trophy because I didn't get it. My wife did. And it's...
I was hoping it was you.
It's called it's Zumba Hero,
oh
which is we had this Zumba dance game for PS3.
That's your most rare trophy.
And she was, for a while, it was like she was just doing this for exercise. Yeah. She was playing this Zumba game, and it's my most rare trophy, and it is. I would say by far the most rare trophy on both of our lists.
Yeah, it is.
It's 1.86% of people have this trophy, and it's just you complete all the 45-minute intermediate Zumba classes.
It's so fucking ridiculous.
And so I don't really have a lot to say about this because I didn't necessarily earn it, but it's a pretty rare trophy to have on my
Jake
profile.
Is the Zumba master, apparently, according to PSN profiles. That makes me so happy. I just have one other one, I believe, and this is the last one, and a 2.82% trophy. And this one's a little better. This is just straight up Pinball Arcade. There's a table on there called the Tales of the Arabian Nights. Great pinball machine if you've never played it. I am a Tales master, which means I've done everything on it, all the trophies for that specific pinball machine. Not easy to do, I promise you. I probably put hours and hours into this. I got this December 27th, 2014. 139,544 owners, only 3,936 achievers, bringing me to a 2.82% silver trophy completion. So, very cool. Those are fun. We should do more of these maybe. I just thought the ultra rare trophies would probably be the most fun, right? I don't know what else we could use this site for to maybe speak on some of the other games that we played, Jake, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah, you know what's funny is that, like, I've been looking, okay. Dude, that's so wild. One of the trophies I'm the most proud of getting is
Diablo?
The platinum for Doom 2016. And I was like, how is this not one of the trophies on my list? Because according to PSN Pro, so here's what's fucking weird. I'm sorry, this is what's kind of throwing me back and forth here. Have you ever noticed how, so like on PSN profiles, if I look up Doom, the platinum trophy is called Thy Flesh Consumed.
Mm-hmm.
And right beside the platinum trophy, it says 10.74%. No, that's fucking impossible. There's no way 10% of people got the platinum in this game. One of the trophies is beating the first mission on, like, whatever the fuck the most difficult, like Uber Demon or whatever the fuck the most difficult difficulty is. And it's literally impossible. I only was able to do it by exploiting a glitch in the map.
Maybe that's how everybody else did it.
I guess, but here's the thing: is like when I
Good boy, Bubba.
hover. Have you noticed this? When you like hover over a trophy, it changes the rarity.
Mm-mm.
I don't know what this means.
Well, we need to look into it.
Because like it says 10.74% rare, right? But when I hover over it, it shows a little triangle, and it says ultra rare 1.2%. So I don't know what that means.
Well, you better do some digging on your own time. Figure that out. Figure that out. Jake,
I guess.
we have a section called Games We've Been Playing. It's been a big release recently. Sony first-party IP came out, God of War Ragnarok. I picked it up. I've been playing it. Jake, that's all I have to say. If you've been playing it, I'd like to give just a general non-spoiler first impression of the game, not spoiling it at all. Very vague. But what have you been playing?
I mean, I've been playing God of War also since Wednesday morning, I guess.
Okay. Well, we're not going to be assholes to our listeners and spoil anything. But what I would like to say about this game is it's exactly what I expected. And I'm not at all disappointed by the game. I haven't had any glitches on it. It runs smooth as butter on performance mode. It doesn't seem like a PS5 game at all to me. I'll say that. As far as this isn't a spoiler. The first God of War, you had these fucking channels you had to walk through to get to new maps and stuff, and we were hoping that you didn't have to fucking do that in this game. You still have to do that, and the portals and stuff. There's still that ethereal world that you have to travel through to get to the next level, which opens up opportunity for dialogue and shit. I get it, but it just seems like. And there's a lot of, here, let's squeeze through this tight space so we can load the next part of the map. A lot of that shit going on. Gameplay's fun so far. I'm good with it. And honestly, though, and we're going to get to a news point about this, I really feel like Last of Us and now I'm not through the game. I'm maybe like 8 hours in. The Last of Us and Last of Us 2, right? Very clearly different fucking games. God of War Ragnarok, right now for me, very much the same fucking game. Personal opinion, not bad, still really good, but feels like the same fucking game to me. That's my initial impression, and I'm subject to change. I think it's fine. I don't at all regret purchasing it. It's fucking good. But it doesn't feel like it's doing anything new to me.
So my opinion is that I like it way more than I was expecting to.
Wow.
And I was...
Because your expectations were like not super excited about the game.
Yeah. I forgot how good the game feels to play. And like how... I also forgot how hard the combat is,
yeah, I love
especially
the
in the early game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to sit here and say that it's like, you know, I might just be bad at fucking video games, but like it is challenging. You got to like learn all of the dodging, and the controls are completely competent, but some of the stuff is a little bit different than what you're used to. Like for me, you know, think about something like dodging. Right. If like you're gonna pin me down and say, what is the default command for dodging an attack?
Right.
Oh, it's like pressing a direction and pressing circle. That's what I would assume a dodge would be. Right. But in this game, you have to double tap X and a direction. Which now that I'm in like for jumping over things and traversing the environment and doing platforming, you press circle. And it's weird. Like I don't know why they chose this button mapping. But I'm kind of used to it now, and it's fine. I'm like 4 hours in.
Yeah.
And you know, but I do agree with you. And it's very obvious that this was a PS4 game. And just based on the fact that like there's like 1,000,001 different little areas where you have to like, you know, sneak through a
lift the
tight
rock
space
so you can crawl under. Yeah.
or lift the tree so Atreus can go under, or run through the fucking run across the branches of the Yggdrasil or whatever. And I'm sorry. And but I will say I am pleasantly surprised at how much I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. And
I am really excited to keep playing it. I mean, for those of you that don't know, like, there's no spoilers here or whatever, but it's been getting phenomenal reviews. Like, it's literally like the only Elden Ring has gotten higher reviews this year, outside of God of War Ragnarok.
Oh, it's fucking great. The game's great.
So I'm really excited to play more of it, but I do understand like the idea. It totally makes sense to me that people would look at this and play this and be like, it's the same game. Like, you could literally play, if you played God of War 2018 and then played this back to back, if you're playing it on PS5, you might notice like a 60 frames, maybe it runs or looks a little bit, there's higher resolution or whatever, but they look like the same game. And they play like the same game, which is fine. I don't know that I would necessarily consider your reference to The Last of Us necessarily accurate, because The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2 were like 10 years apart. Sure. Whereas like this game came out, God of War came out 4 years ago.
Right.
The original remake, 2018, whatever the hell you want to say. So they're still technically, I would say that they're technically built on the same generation.
Sure.
Even though this is like literally a PS5 game. I think that they could have done more with this and made it more PS5 friendly, not release it on PS4. But I understand the whole philosophy of like not leaving your player base behind and all this kind of dumb shit. But
jump up. Buddy.
But I don't know. I am really enjoying it so far, and I hope that everyone else really likes it. Yeah. I will say I'm not like a big fan of the menus, the inventory menus.
Yeah, I don't like them either.
They drive me kind of crazy a little bit. I don't understand why. Like it's very there's like the UI in games now is so weird. Like I don't understand. Like I'd almost rather go back to like 20 years ago when they just gave us fucking lists. But like there's something weird about it, how it's like it's not necessarily obvious to navigate and stuff, but
and the skill menus and the skill trees and stuff. Yeah, right. All that stuff is.
I mean,
could have been overhauled a little bit. Not that maybe it was.
It's a small gripe.
Yeah, and I guess my only reason I compared it to The Last of Us is that it was a Sony IP, right? And I think there was probably a little bit of a push to get this game, not this game specifically, but to get another God of War in the fucking machine and get it out when the first one did so well. I think that they knew they were leaving money on the table for every little bit of time that they didn't. The other thing about these games, and I mean, I'll be the first to admit that I'm a fucking dunce when it comes to all of this shit like Flagon, Yarburger, Blabberburger, all these fucking Greek terms and whatever, right? I'm an idiot. And you start throwing words in a game that I can't fucking pronounce, because when I read them, my brain breaks because they're spelled weird and they're like Nordic or whatever they are. Like, it kind of throws a wrench in my understanding of what the fuck's going on. I get confused, and I think this happened with another game recently that I played that I didn't care for the story. And I think it's sitting with me. Like, I get the gist of it, but when they start talking in this game about the different locations, and there's the Bifrost, and then there's the Winter. This is spoiler-free. Bifrost, and then Winter, and then all these different things in different locations. And then it's just kind of confusing because I think there's a little bit of time travel, and then there's also world traveling, and then there's also like this crazy overarching story that isn't exactly understandable. And it's just like, okay, like the first game, this is a spoiler for the first game. The premise was that you're just trying to fucking take your mother's ashes and pour them off the highest mountaintop, right? And it's like, okay, there's a story there. I still don't fucking understand what I'm doing 8 hours in. Like, I'm not sure what we're trying to accomplish. I don't know. That's just me, maybe. Maybe it's just falling short on me. I don't know. Jake, you got an opinion on the story, part 2? Like it or leave it?
I mean, I like I said, I'm only about 4 hours in, so the story is still a little bit fresh. I mean, obviously, It seems like there's this isn't a spoiler because it's in all the promotional material, but it seems like there's some kind of conflict, and they kind of alluded to this in the first game. There's like an impending conflict with Odin, and in the first game you fuck up. I don't want to spoil the first game, even if you guys haven't played it yet. But it's, I don't know. I mean, I am not necessarily into the story for the overarching goal of the main characters so much as Kratos and Atreus' relationship with each other. So I'm more invested in what's happening with that relationship and like their interactions with Brock and Sindri and like all these like ancillary characters. Like the character to character interaction to me is way more interesting than the
purpose.
The whole point of the story, right? It's like obviously you have to have a bad guy, you have to have a main objective, you have to have a mountain to climb, all this kind of stuff. But like it's the same thing with something like The Last of Us, right? I mean, the story in that game is really less about the where you're taking Ellie and more about Ellie and Joel's relationship. Mm-hmm. So I feel the same way about this. And Kratos, I forgot how fucking funny Kratos is.
Yeah.
Like there are these moments where, and he's not like trying to be funny or anything, but there are just these moments where he's just so like, he just delivers these like single word answers.
Very literal, just like to the point.
Yeah. Yes. Especially when he's talking to like Sindri or somebody who's, for those of you that don't know, it's like this NPC character that you deal with a lot in the first and second game. He's like a dwarf blacksmith kind of character. And just some of the interactions between them and the interactions between him and Mimir and stuff, it's just it's gold because it's so like dry and deadpan and like I don't know. I like it, but I will say that like I'm pretty intrigued by the change in environments a little bit, especially the first realm you go to outside of Midgard. And I won't spoil it, but it's an environment that you haven't seen before. Like you didn't see it all in 2018. So it's really interesting to be able to see kind of some new locales and stuff in this game. And even like the Atreus kind of comments on, because he's never been to this realm before, he comments on like how different it is from what they're used to, and it's cool.
Yeah, the mini puzzles.
I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I love it. The collectibles, the little looking. There's always something hiding somewhere. You can always go off the beaten path and find something, and it's simple enough. And I think the puzzles are starting to get a little more complex the more I've been playing it. But I like the game. I didn't mean to come out of the gates ragging on it. But ragging on Ragnarok, but it's one of those things where it's just like, clearly people are getting what they expected and what they wanted, right? They didn't have to reinvent the wheel here. They had such a winning combination with the first God of War release. They knew not to fuck with it too much, and they were probably on a little bit of a tighter timeline. And it's good. I'm glad that it's out. And I have a lot of story to go, so I'm real excited to play that. Let's move on to the news this week. So, we been having semi-longer podcasts, and we're going to whip through this news relatively fast, I think, is the plan. There's not really a whole lot going on here. But as a follow-up to my rant on having games spoiled, we were talking about God of War Ragnarok. Push Square posted an article about games being spoiled directly on your console if you have a game downloaded. the PlayStation, if it's connected to the internet, will pull up user content in the form of YouTube videos and other content, maybe game clips. If those videos have thumbnails that contain spoilers, those thumbnails can get imported directly onto your PlayStation and right in front of your eyes, even if you're like trying to avoid them. So it's called the Explore tab, and it will show all types of different content on current games that you're currently playing. So be careful with this shit, because God of War Ragnarok's out, and just be careful. And I hate the fact that this does this, and there should be a way to disable it. There might be. I don't know. Any opinions on that, Jake?
This is just one of those things that, you don't expect. Like how could you think about this, right? If you're Sony and you're developing this platform, you're just like, oh, I just want to serve to my customer media that might interest them based on
regarding the game. Yeah.
And the problem is just that people are dicks and they make YouTube videos where they'll show like a thumbnail. Put fucking spoilers in the thumbnails, and it's just coincidentally this is happening.
Yeah. And
so, for me, dude, those cards that pop up when you get on your PS5,
mm-hmm.
I never use them, to the point where I ignore them to the point where I don't even notice them anymore.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you the last time I read one of those cards. It's just I get it. I wish there was a way to put your PS5 in PS4 mode.
Airplane mode
if
or
that
something.
Makes any sense. Where you could not necessarily take it offline, but just remove all of this social shit off of it. I don't care about it. I don't want you to feed me user-generated content. I don't want you to feed me fucking, whatever the little help cards are and all that stuff. I don't want you to tell me what fucking quest I'm on. I don't care about any of that. It does that thing where it's oh, you're 20% of the way through your current quest. I don't fucking care about any of that. Give me the fucking jitterbug mode, where it's start game, stop game, on off console, Netflix. That's all I want on my fucking PlayStation.
Yeah.
It can look like the PS5. I think the UI looks really clean and everything moves really good.
Yeah.
I just don't care about all this user generated content, because the problem is now they just completely got rid of themes so they can shove all this shit in your face.
Mm-hmm.
If they to me, it's you should have the option to just say, remove all this stuff. Now I can put a theme on, and I don't have to worry about that stuff.
Yeah, make it sleeker or something. Make it a simple mode. Yeah, a safe mode.
Yeah,
safe mode old Windows.
Yeah, safe mode. Maybe they're thinking that maybe they have some data that says that they make more money based on serving you this stuff than they do on something like selling you themes.
It's possible, man.
I don't know, but I will say that I'm not one of those people that's so, I'm not so twisted up about it that I'm calling for them to delete everything and all this stuff and telling them they're stupid and everything. But to me, it's I care so little about it that now it just literally, my eyes glaze over and I don't see any of it. I couldn't tell you the last thing I saw, even though it served to me every single fucking day.
Towards it. Yeah.
Because I just completely ignore it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But it must work on some people.
Well, it does suck that some people are having games spoiled this way, and I don't, like you said, it's not directly the intent of Sony to spoil games, but I mean, bitches be bitches, and people are gonna spoil shit for you. So put the blinders on, man. Go under the radar on this God of War shit and get it played, buy it, get through it, and that's all I gotta say. It's why I'm plowing through it. Next news point is an interesting one and relevant to our podcast last episode. Remedy Entertainment, we talked about them. They said they were working on multiple projects. And the developers confirmed Control 2 is happening. I don't remember, Jake, if you ever played Control, but the Control 2 is going to use the Northlight engine, and a publishing agreement with 505 Games has been signed. Remedy has a budget of 50 million euros, which is a ton of fucking money, to make this game. This is part of the agreement, and Remedy retains the IP for Control. And 505 Games indicated that Control is the biggest investment 505 Games has ever made. So it has a special place in our hearts. I don't know if that's a big gamble or not. Like, Alan Wake Remastered didn't do super great, I don't think. It's in the same universe. The original Control did really well. Did you play the first Control?
I did not, but I really want to play it. I mean, I think it looks great, and I know that a lot of people really like it.
Mm-hmm.
$50 million, if I'm not mistaken,
Euros.
is roughly like twice what they paid for the first one.
Maybe.
So it is, they are ramping up the investment, but when you consider things like inflation and stuff like that, is it really that much more? Probably not. I mean, it is more, definitely. But I wouldn't sit here and say that, like, oh, they're paying, 5 times as much for the next game or whatever. So I think they just saw that even though they didn't sell like a million gazillion copies of this game, it was profitable because people really liked it. And so I really do want to play this game, and I do think that I will play it at some point.
Yeah.
I just haven't gotten to it. I mean, I have every opportunity because it's on, the PS Plus Extra or whatever, But I just haven't gotten to it, and this to me seems like one of those games that would be a perfect backlog game if I'm between games or something like that.
I did a takeaway video on this on our YouTube site, and remember how we were just talking about God of War and how I didn't really understand the story so far?
Yeah.
Control was the fucking game that I had no clue what was even happening. And
it's like Remedy games are kind of like Kojima games.
Yeah, dude. That, Control is so confusing.
Everything that's going on, you love what's happening, but you have no fucking idea what's going on.
You can't even follow it. You're just like, I don't even know why this is happening or why I'm going where I'm going. Control was a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, and I remember I had to pull up some sort of walkthrough just to know where to go next. It's like one of those games. It's not quite like a Metroidvania style game where but at the same time, it's easy to get fucking lost in this game. I remember the HUD not being super great or the map features or something. Like you couldn't put like waypoints or something on the map. Like it was just like really like cool game. Don't get me wrong. If you're curious, you can watch my takeaway video on YouTube about Control. But yeah, man, I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. It just didn't resonate with me, I think, the way that it resonated with a lot of other people. So, all right, next news point. Dragon Age Absolution. Not a video game. It's an animated 6-episode series. And if you're interested in Dragon Age Dreadwolf, Netflix has released a trailer for this animated series. And the quality of this trailer looks really good. Looks really well done. And it totes the BioWare name on it. So the series is going to contain 6 episodes, like I mentioned, and it will be releasing on December 9th. And while I have no interest in Dreadwolf, this looks good enough that, I think I might just watch it because it is a standalone thing because it looks really cool. And I don't know that you have to know anything about Dragon Age to watch this thing. The VO work is fantastic. The animation style looks really cool. Maybe if I watch this, it might put a little wild hair in me to maybe want to watch Dreadwolf or play Dreadwolf. I don't know. I didn't really like Inquisition, but I didn't know they were even making this. Jake, did you know about this?
I did not. I'm watching sort of the trailer for it right now.
Yeah.
It looks interesting. I mean, if it's as good as some of these other video game adapted, animated series that have come out recently, like Castlevania and Cyberpunk and stuff, then that's dope. I mean, I think the Dragon Age is a cool universe. BioWare makes great universes.
They do.
There was a lot of gameplay issues with Inquisition that threw me off.
The story was
of
actually
that
really good in
particular game.
Inquisition.
Yeah, the story was fine. It was just all this like, you know, resource management shit that made the game twice as long as it needed to be, and yeah, so
the combat sucked.
I'd be curious to see. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, it was very, very BioWare. You know, I
felt like I was playing like Age of
their...
Empires while in the combat for this game, like controlling.
Yeah, you have to like just like hold down buttons. You don't like actually. You're not like actively engaging. I mean, you are. It's like active combat, but it's not like as button mashy as a normal action,
right?
You know, RPG or whatever. So
if they rework combat in
Dreadwolf,
I think it might be worth looking into.
Yeah, we'll have to see how Dreadwolf comes out. But this, I mean, it looks cool. So hopefully it's good. Something
to watch on Netflix here in December, if you have Netflix, that is, obviously. And follow up on this, there was some talk about this game. This is a Chinese open world action game, and there was a 7-minute trailer out of nowhere for this game. It's called Project the Perceiver, and the trailer has faced praise and some criticism. The trailer itself, both praise and criticism alike, indicating it looks a lot like Ghost of Tsushima. It looks like a clone almost of that game, but there's plenty of gameplay in this trailer, and it looks different enough to me, and there are parts of this trailer that feel like there's a little bit of fantasy involved. Like one of the swords the guy pulls out looks like a sword from Final Fantasy at one point towards the end of the trailer, and I was like, I don't know if that's a dream sequence or what that is, but I don't hate it. I don't hate what I'm seeing. Anything on this, Jake?
It looks cool. I mean, there are some things where it's like very clearly just yoinked out of Ghost of Tsushima. Like there's like a clear shot in this trailer where it's like a dueling sequence between two people, and it just looks like a duel from Ghost of Tsushima with the freaking Kurosawa filter put on. And so like I can understand people's criticisms in that regard, but that said, I feel like the combat looks different enough that I am kind of interested in it. It looks faster. It looks a little bit more, like you said, almost supernatural, kind of. Like there's some weirdness to it that makes it look a little bit
maybe
interesting.
Not as grounded. They some of the articles I saw in this game, they've compared the combat to maybe like Sekiro.
And there's like this weird shit going on where like the main character is running around and like the world is just bending around him and shit, like at the end of the trailer. It's really, really bizarre. So I feel like this game is going to be a lot more supernatural than anything that because Ghost of Tsushima was like a straight up, like, I don't want to say realistic, but it was like a grounded samurai action game, right? And so the one thing that I will say is that there was a section in this trailer where it looks good. It looks really good, but there was this one part where the main character like goes across a bridge, and it's like there are like a few enemies, and they're just like all standing there while he's just beating up on one enemy. And I don't know if they just did this because it would look good, but it kind of looked like maybe there was a little bit of jank to it. I don't know. But I would say that generally, especially being a Chinese game, and we haven't really gotten a lot of those, I think that this looks really good. I don't have any complaints about what I'm seeing with this, other than the few like minor complaints that I've mentioned so far.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we'll have to wait and see what this turns into. But yeah, very cool. If you guys want to check out that trailer again, the game's called Project the Perceiver. Moving on, Hello Neighbor Search and Rescue has now been confirmed as a PSVR 2 launch game. Now, I know that the 15th, I will be getting an opportunity to pre-order my PSVR 2, and I will be doing that. But just an FYI for anyone else who's interested, the list grows a little bit. And I don't know anything about the Hello Neighbor games, but it's not really on my list of things that I'm interested in. But I hear there's a little bit of a horror element to this one, this version of the game or whatever. So let's move forward. And this was really funny too, because we've been talking about games being packaged, discs being packaged with games, right? And this is harkening back to Ragnarok, because that was the really big release, and the special edition, the collector's edition. It's hilariously relevant because it's just like things get mixed up very easily. Copies of God of War Ragnarok, the collector's edition, are actually missing the game. And by game, I mean the download code. So the collector's edition version of God of War were supposed to ship with a download code for the game and a bonus download code for extra content. And they came like little postcards. This game is shipping with 2 postcards, as it should, but both postcards are a download code for the DLC, like the bonus stuff for the game, not the actual game download code. And this sounds like an error at the manufacturing company. Somebody fucking screwed up somewhere, but it just seems like, what is the answer? Like what is the fucking answer? Like, in this situation, they didn't include the disc. They gave a download code, but they didn't ship the postcard with the download code. So it's like, what the fuck? Like, just fucking figure it out already. It's hilarious to me.
Manufacturing error, defect. It's as long as they're rectifying it, it's fine. I mean, yeah. It's these things happen in manufacturing. It could be possible that like there was an employee on the line that wasn't trained properly, and so versions of the game were going out that didn't have these cards included or something. I mean, these things happen as long as Sony is rectifying it and they're making it right. I mean, I'm totally fine with it. I mean, I've worked in enough manufacturing environments in my job to understand how
the assembly line situation.
Well, just to it's to me, seeing what I've seen, it is unbelievable that we don't have more issues like this. Like, I feel like it, like, literally we should be dealing with this shit all the time.
Every day.
And the fact that we're not is amazing.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind before you throw too much shade.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not throwing shade. I'm just reporting the news, Mr. Peters. All right. Additionally, did you hear that there was a Korean IGN, reviewer for their site, and they gave God of War Ragnarok a 6 out of 10, essentially saying the game is just should have been DLC and that kind of stuff. But there were translation issues, right? And this person is getting threatened, and some bullshit's going on, and people just need to fucking chill out is all. That's it. I don't know right now that I would give God of War Ragnarok a 10, personally.
No, I mean, I don't care if this person gave the game a fucking 1 out of 10.
Yeah, it's their fucking opinion.
Threatened for their opinion of the game.
Right, it's ridiculous.
I guarantee you that these people that are quote-unquote threatening, that are allegedly threatening this reviewer, I guarantee you that there are opinions that these people have that I do not agree with. And everybody has their own opinion. Like, people have a hard time, I think, sometimes remembering that reviews are opinions.
Yeah.
They're not, it's not objective fact. If that's the case, then they would be pointless. You would have literally a review that came, like, one review would come out and be like, God of War is a 9 out of 10, and everybody in the whole world would say it's a 9 out of 10, period. Boring.
It's not math, right?
Yeah, so, like, the only way that this system works is when you have people of differing opinions. For all you know, this IGN reviewer in Korea, they may have gaming tastes that are similar to you or not similar to you. I mean, that's the thing about reviewers that a lot of people don't think about, is that you really need to look for a group of reviewers that have similar gaming taste to you, so that you trust the reviews that they give you.
Right.
It's not just straight up like, oh, fucking Metacritic says it's a 94, so it must be good.
Right.
Chances are, if Metacritic says it's a 94 on a game as big as God of War, it probably is a fucking good game. But, you know, if you're looking at Elden Ring has a 97 on Metacritic, but you hate From Software games, it's not going to be a 97 to you.
Exactly.
You're going to have a million and one things to pick out about it. So, to me, the real sad thing about this is that we're in a world where
people think it's okay to threaten people.
People think it's okay to threaten somebody over a fucking video game opinion. And I encourage everybody on the internet, everybody that's listening to this podcast, before you put negative energy out there, whether it's responding to a tweet or anything like that, to just stop, give it 10 minutes, think about it, and then decide if you still want to tweet it or not, or respond or whatever. Because chances are, most of these things are just gut reactions. You just type it and send, and it doesn't matter. And it's like, where if you actually just sat and thought about it for half an hour, and you're like, do I really need to say that? Is this really that big of a deal? If it still is, then by all means, do your thing.
I think that's fantastic advice, not
you.
just for reacting to video game reviews, but to everything. Right?
Yeah. There's so much stuff out there.
It's a good
People
life
are just
lesson.
everybody just has such a short fuse nowadays, and they just, because of the nature of the internet, and there's no accountability for anything. People are just like, oh, well, it only takes me 2 seconds, like a text message, to just respond. And for all you know, that response, like your response, even though you maybe didn't even think about it, and you're like, you're fucking stupid, like I wish you were dead. I'm not saying that this is what was sent to this guy, but I'm just like, you know, just kind of saying a random message. This shit happens all the time. Like, for all you know, those words, even though you didn't think about it at all before you sent it, like, seriously negatively impacted that person's psyche.
Yeah.
And it's really sad to see that people think that this type of thing is okay. And this all piggybacks onto like the whole spoiling thing and all that stuff, where it's like, just like I said, I mean, before you put any of this negative energy out there, whether it's the internet, whether it's, you know, talking to a coworker, whether it's anything, just think about it for, if it's a negative thing, think about it for, I don't know, I don't even care if it's a minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever, half hour. Just wait a second before you post it. And after you've cooled off, do you still feel that way? Yes, go ahead and send it. If you don't feel that way, then don't send it. I mean, I think that it's better for your soul. I'm not one of these people that thinks that, like, you know, karma is going to get you and all this stuff. But, like, you know, you put out the energy, you get the energy you put out there. You know what I mean? Like, if you're the type of person that's negative and acts negative and puts negative energy out there all the time, that's the shit that you're going to get back. So, like, people are going to react that way to you as well. So you might as well.
It's a real tough cycle to get out of, I think, for some people, because if that's all they know and that's all they do, then that's all they get back, and then they're just like, yeah, everything fucking sucks, right? And then it's just like, dude, you got to change your attitude,
man. Dude, there are some times just when I get really stressed out at work specifically, where I'm just like, I'll get in like modes where anytime anyone comes to talk to me, I just want to fucking bite their head off because I'm stressed out. And then, like, I have to sit down for a second and I'll just think about it and be like, is it really, are they really acting differently, or am I just upset?
Right.
And then once I think about it for literally, it only takes 5 minutes. Then I'm like, okay, it's me. I need to, like, make an effort to curb my reaction a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I guess what I'm saying is that please, for the love of Jeebus, don't say stuff like this to people. It really is. Everybody's going through their own thing. Nobody needs you to push them this way. If they seriously deserve your criticism, then feel free to give it to them. But there's no reason to threaten somebody over a fucking video game. Remember that. It's a video game. It's not like they killed your dog. It's not like, they burned your house down. They said that a game that you like, they didn't like that much.
I don't also understand, all right, we just need to move on. I'm gonna put that aside for now. But yeah, we could talk about that for a while. I think we're all on the same page here. Hopefully our listeners are as well. Thank you for the edumacation, Jacob, and the life lessons. The golden rule. All right, let's go to the next news story, which I think is hilarious. And I stumbled on this on Push Square. And Kentucky Fried Chicken is making the podcast today, and this is how good their advertising was. And it's still working because now we're talking about them. And they did a really clever thing, and it circulated around the internet. And it was 2 billboards, I'm guessing close to like a train station or something. And the first billboard is a big advertisement for God of War Ragnarok. And then the very next one, looking left to right, is a Kentucky Fried Chicken advertisement on a big billboard. And it's an arrow pointing to the God of War Ragnarok billboard, and it says, and that's why there's KFC delivery. And they tweeted this, and they said, think we timed this one well. We're not sorry, PlayStation UK, God of War Ragnarok, #. And it's just a really fucking funny picture, because gamers can probably relate to that.
So first of all, I haven't had KFC in a long time.
Yeah.
But as fucking terrible as it is for you, I think it's really good. And second, I know you're a vegetarian, so you don't relate, but
I haven't had it in like 28 years, so yeah.
It's just gross ass fried chicken that just it makes you feel good for like half an hour, and then you want to kill yourself.
Yeah.
But like, I love when companies do this. I love when they like get out of the whole serious marketing thing, and they just like to me,
it's fun.
This is one of those things.
Playful.
This is one of those things where it's like KFC could have required that Sony, give them some marketing kickback to play along or whatever. But no, they're just like, we're gonna fucking, high tide rises all boats thing. You know what I mean? We're going to kind of meme this out a little bit and just kind of make kind of a funny. Mm-hmm. And people will see this and they'll be like, oh, that's funny. I fucking love video games and I love fried chicken. So I'm going to get both. I don't know. This is really cool. I mean, there really isn't a lot to say about it, but I really enjoy when companies do stuff like this.
Yeah. I agree. I like it as well. So this next one, you guys know I like board games. It's not video game related, but it is. I'm a big fan of board games, and I like to get some social time in with my friends that way. And The Last of Us now has a board game coming, and it's on Kickstarter. To be clear, Naughty Dog isn't making the game, nor is PlayStation. So people are like, why does this game need a fucking Kickstarter? It's actually a board game company, I believe, who are making it. And now I would say the risk level is pretty low. I mean, you put out a game about The Last of Us, it's probably going to do well, especially with the HBO series coming. But there is a Kickstarter nonetheless. Whether you agree with it or not, it's out there. The game is called The Last of Us Escape the Dark. And I believe it's a pretty fair price for what you're getting. And I've purchased board game stuff on Kickstarter and all that. And it looks interesting, and it's a riff on an already existing game titled Escape the Dark. So this just has The Last of Us preceding Escape the Dark. So it's called The Last of Us Escape the Dark, and it's very much like the game Escape the Dark if you've played it. It is officially licensed by PlayStation, and as of today, when I last checked, they have already raised 5 times their goal of what they wanted on Kickstarter. So they've raised like over $500,000 for this thing. and the Kickstarter is going to end on December 3rd, and it's $77 for a standard pledge, and it's $117 for a collector's edition pledge. And if you're interested in that kind of shit, I don't know if this is going to actually ever go retail, or if this is the only way to pick up a copy. Just an FYI, if you like it, I want to throw it out there for the listeners. A lot of these Kickstarter things are one-offs, and you either get in or you don't, and then buying it aftermarket is really fucking tough. I don't know if this is that way, but if it is, just do your own research on it. I did enough for you to tell you it's out there. Jake, any opinion on this? It actually looks cool the way it plays.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about like, I'm not really a big board game guy.
Yeah.
But I think that stuff like this is just even cool from a collector's perspective. You know what I mean? As long as it's got the approval of Naughty Dog, which I have to imagine it does. Sony owns The Last of Us, so it's not like they would just let this fucking be developed if it wasn't.
Yeah, Naughty Dog were tweeting some
them.
shit about this, yeah.
So, and it does, Naughty Dog, it is in the trailer on Kickstarter, and it is in the trailer, it also listed as a Sony officially licensed product. So, I mean, awesome. If it's fun to play, I love stuff like this. These little things where it's like, this is the type of additional content for a game or something that I think is really cool, because it doesn't necessarily drive the content into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whereas if you get like too many seasons of a TV show or something, if you get like this little side game or something, even if you don't really love games, it like acts as almost a little collectible kind of thing. And if you're into games, then who knows, you might find something you really like there.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
It's pretty cool.
Very, very cool.
Now, I will say, to this day, I don't know if I ever mentioned this, excuse me, on the podcast, but I think that board games are so fucking expensive. I don't know if I'm the only one that thinks that.
Yeah.
But like, dude, I've looked at board games just like out of curiosity. I'm like, oh, this looks kind of cool or whatever. Like the Space Hulk board game, I always thought looked kind of neat.
Expensive as shit.
And it's like, $150 for this fucking board game. It's like, oh man, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. A lot of times those two, like,
it's cool though.
They require other people too to be on board.
Sure.
So unless it's a game that you can just fucking sit down and play by yourself, you're always taking a risk buying a bigger game. Because
right.
The older you get, the harder it is. As I'm learning and my brother's learning.
I mean, it's no different than things like miniature battle games and
Sure.
stuff. When I was a kid, there was a couple of different miniature battle games that I used to be really into. And by the time you get all the miniatures and all the the dice and the rule books and everything like that, I mean, you're talking hundreds of dollars. But not to mention if you have to build a table or something, and you gotta you want to buy all the little terrain pieces, the little fucking pieces of like moss and shit, and
then you turn into me and you want
to
to fucking paint everything. You gotta borrow the paint, the fucking paintbrushes, and all that bullshit.
It's one of those like those types of games are one of those things that I'm just like so nostalgically positive on, but like as an active adult, I have very little patience for.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense.
No, it makes sense.
They take so long to play.
Yeah,
like if they made a game like, what's the game that we played that was all the miniatures and you had them with like the click bases and the fucking they had all the heroes.
Hero
and stuff
Escape.
And like the Hero Escape. So that game is awesome. I really enjoy it.
There's a HasLab
But
for that
like,
right now. They're releasing it again if they hit the thing, Hasbro.
That's fucking cool, first of all. But second of all, like, they need to make these games where they can make a bite-sized version. And I know that you can do... It's all down to who's playing and how much you're going to argue about the rules and all this kind of stuff. But, like, if they could make a version of it where you could do, like, skirmishes that only take an hour or 2 hours, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Then I'm all in. But it's like a lot of these games you get in and it's like fucking 4 hours later and you're still not done. And it's like one mission of a big-ass campaign. And it's just... It gets to be too much for me.
You have
But
to play with like-minded people that just want to fucking play the game and get through it and just sit down and have fun. So, like, and you got to make sure that everybody is there to play the game, and like playing the game isn't the side thing, right? It's not social fucking hour, and I'm just gonna fucking do a game thing whenever it's my turn, right? Like, you have to fucking be invested. I've learned this, and it's very important that you don't get distracted at the game table, and when it's your fucking turn, you take your turn, and you're not busy talking about something, sidebarring with somebody, and then everybody's fucking like this. Oh, it's my turn? Yes, it's your fucking turn. Go, dude. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's got to fucking be in, and when everyone's in, the games can go smooth. But you got to find the right crew, and that's tough the older you get, like I mentioned earlier. So, and I mean, there's a time and a place, I think, for leisure gaming, like Scrabble and fucking Sorry and stuff. But if you're playing any of these fucking games that are somewhat rule heavy and story driven, and the last thing you want are like fucking 5 drunk people sitting around a table, because it's just never gonna happen. Like, the game's not gonna get played well. Like, that's my personal experience. But it is always fun to get a lot of people together. Let's move on to the next one. Cars and Dirt. Cars and Dirt. EA.
Project Cars.
What's that?
Project Cars.
Yeah, Project Cars, yeah. Project Cars and Dirt. Both those series are being canceled by EA. So if you were a fan, that sucks. The company behind Project Cars, which is Slightly Mad Studios, was acquired by Codemasters, and nobody knows what they're currently working on. But they are not working on Project Cars. And Dirt is done, apparently. So just an FYI.
That sucks, because I think people really like those. Were both very popular series.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say they're doing freaking Gran Turismo numbers or something like that, but they're like Dirt especially has been a series that has been in the gaming sphere for a long time now. I mean, it's been a pretty popular kind of franchise.
Mm-hmm.
So that sucks for you guys.
Yeah. And last point of news before we get close to wrapping things up. N7 Day happened, which is the day that Mass Effect is publicly celebrated worldwide. It would have been a great day to release our Mass Effect spoiler cast, but instead what we got was about a 2 minute, maybe 20-second video, 20-second video of a spaceship just kind of hovering in outer space with some that going on. And it was kind of a teaser from the new Mass Effect game they're working on, apparently. And it makes me think about our Mass Effect 2 bonus episode. Jake, are we scrapping this, or are we going to do it?
We need to do it. I mean, we did the first one. We played the fucking game. We both played it. We both beat it months ago. We need to just do the episode. I'm going to have to probably watch a spoiler cast on it just to, like, make sure that I didn't miss something.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah,
I'm not playing it again, that's for sure.
So here's the thing. I think we should do the spoiler cast, or the review of The Last of Us Part 2 episode. At the same time, I don't give a shit about this fucking post by BioWare.
Yeah, neither do I.
Because to me, I don't care about anything that BioWare has to say until they release a game that's good. They haven't released a game that's good in arguably 12 years, 13 years. When did Mass Effect 3 come out? A long ass time. I mean, people could argue that Dragon Age Inquisition was a decent game. But yeah, Mass Effect 3 came out in March 6th of 2012. That was the last game that they released that I would consider to be a great game. So, and I hate when they do this. They feel like I would have rather them not acknowledge N7 Day than post this shit and have it not mean anything. Like, it needs to mean something. They've been doing this shit for like 2 or 3 years now, where they just put some random fucking space noise or a picture of a spaceship that says Mass Effect on it or some other crap online just on November 7th. And it's just, I don't know. I don't care. Like, release something.
Yeah, I'd like to see
good.
something too, but I don't want them to rush anything. It's been a long time, like you said, but it's almost like they're scared.
Just wait for the fucking. Honestly, they should release like a Mass Effect animated series. That would be kind of cool. Oh, they did that, didn't they?
I have it. Yeah,
a long time ago.
Yep, I have it. I haven't watched it yet though. It wasn't a series. It was just a Mass Effect.
It was a movie, right?
I made a movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's it, Jake. That's the podcast. We're done. That's all I have. There's no new games announced. Everyone's playing God of War Ragnarok and probably the new Call of Duty. So I don't have anything to say about this week of new games. There's nothing on my list that like I can't wait to play. You know we know we're getting Callisto Protocol and some shit here in December. But right now Ragnarok is where it's at. So
yeah, man. I'm actually kind of shocked at like how stoked I am to be playing a Sony first party game again. I don't know what it is about it, but it just feels good.
Yeah.
To play.
I agree. Yeah.
And it's it's kind of trite just because like all of these games are the same. It's like the fucking sad dad simulator or whatever the hell they say about like the new Sony first party stuff, but like there's something about it where it's just like, oh, it's just good. Like, it's going to be good. It might be the same kind of formula as the last game you played, maybe a different style, like God of War versus The Last of Us versus whatever.
Uncharted or whatever.
But like, or Spider-Man or anything. But it's like, this game is going to be no less than great. So it's pretty cool when you sit down and think about it. And dude, when I was playing the game, I completely forgot about how fucking sick it is. How sick it feels when you chuck the Leviathan axe and then you fucking recall it.
Yeah.
And how just dope that feels. It's like, yeah, I get it. It's the same as the first game, but fuck, man. That is some of the best gameplay shit
if it isn't broke, don't
anyone
fix
has
it.
come up with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't have to reinvent the wheel. I mean, I'm only being critical of the game from the perspective of that it feels like a PS4 game, or it looks like a PS4 game. It runs like a PS4. It runs like a PS4 game on a PS5, right? It just feels like so much more of the same. I think they're going to throw a couple cool little things at me. Some surprises. I hope they do. And I think everyone needs to play this. If you played the first one, by all means, you have to play this one. And it's a continuation of their story, and it's fucking good. But it's not that next gen fucking Sony first party IP that's just gonna fucking blow your mind. If you've already played the first one, you're gonna love the second one. Jake likes it more than the first one. I am right on the same level as how I felt about it. It's hard for me
to say, at this point I haven't beat it, so I can't say that I like it more than the first one. I'm just saying that I am shocked that I'm as excited as I am after playing it for a few hours.
Yeah.
So
I think I probably did some shit in it that you haven't done yet, and I think that's so I don't recant my statement at all, but they are doing a couple interesting things with it, but it's not so much that it feels like a leap, right? It feels very much samey to me, but it's same as good. I fucking get the same pizza from Menino's in town every time I get pizza. I order the exact same fucking thing. It's a margarita pizza, large, with the garlic knots. I don't want them to fucking change it. It's what I like, and I'll keep buying it. I keep fucking eating it.
It is kind of great. I will say that I am excited that this is the end of this arc of God of War.
Yeah.
I haven't beat it, right? Obviously, I don't know. But they did say that Ragnarok is the end of the quote-unquote Norse saga of God of War. So to me, that says that hopefully God of War is going to go back in the fucking vault for a while after this game. Maybe San Diego will do something else. Or Santa Monica, I'm sorry, will do something else for their next game before coming back to God of War in, maybe 8 or 9 years. But I don't know. And the one thing I will say is that, like, God of War 2018 / Ragnarok, in my opinion, is one of the most well done renditions of Norse mythology in video games.
Oh, it's fantastic.
A lot of games have done it. I will say that, like, they have a very interesting perspective, especially with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, how popular it is right now. They have a very interesting perspective on the aesthetics of characters like Thor and Odin.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to spoil anything because if you've seen the trailers, you might know what Thor and Odin look like, but it's different than I would have expected based on recent experience with those characters.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? And I think that's awesome. Like, it's really cool. Like, Odin, like Thor, obviously, we have Chris Hemsworth Thor. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He's just the handsome fucking ripped ass dude. And he's not that at all in God of War. But the Thor in Ragnarok fits that universe so well.
I agree.
Like, he fits the story that Santa Monica has made out of the God of War universe, how Kratos and Atreus have interacted with the Norse mythology. It's really good. I mean, I do think that this is a game that warrants a spoiler cast when we're both done with it.
Yeah, we'll do one.
I'm really interested in getting through the game and seeing how things go.
Cool. All right. Well, that's it for PS This Is Awesome episode 249. We are one away from 250. Thanks for tuning in today with us while we talk about PlayStation and, most importantly, God of War Ragnarok and our initial experience with the game, our initial opinions, which are always subject to change until we finish the games. But, yeah, thanks so much, guys and girls, and we will be back next week. Tune in on your preferred platform streaming service. And, like always, like Dead Space, Darkest Dungeon, and Dead Nation, P.S.
Yes.
This is awesome.